The talk of baseball in May. We're talking June swoon in Cleveland here on Mark Rogers TV after the Indians lose to the Tigers on Sunday afternoon 4-1. The Indians have dropped 7 consecutive games. It's always a roller coaster ride for any team in Major League Baseball. It's a long stretch. It's a long season. It's a marathon, of course, 162 games. But you talk about a roller coaster with high highs and bottom lows. We're talking 8-13 to start for the Indians. Then that 18-4 run that got everybody talking, Terry Francona and the Tribe. And now it's 4-15 to drop to 30-32, 5.5 games behind the Tigers after a sweep in Detroit at the hands of the hated Tigers. Justin Masterson drops to 8-5 with a 3.68 ERA after today's performance. Masterson pitched pretty well, but it was that one pitch to Don Kelly, a 3-run bomb with 2 runners on base with the Indians and the Tigers tied at 1 in the 6th inning, which proved to be his undoing, made it a 4-1 game because the Indians just are not hitting. We talked about it in our preseason post on the Indians. Check it out. We were fearful that this team could not produce enough runs consistently. If you check the numbers overall, yes, the runs are going to be there because they're going to score in bunches. They've got that kind of lineup. They're going to score 8 runs once a week. They're going to score 13 another time, but then they're going to throw up a lot of zeros and ones because it's a big swing and miss lineup. And where Reynolds and the rest of this bunch was hitting during that 22-game stretch, they are not right now, especially with runners in scoring position. These guys have a lot of holes in their swings, and it's showing up right now. The 2 big culprits right now, Nick Swisher, 0 for 26, and we know Swisher's got a track record. He's going to hit. He's a good on-base percentage guy, and he hits for power. But right now, Swish not hitting. 0 for 26, broken today with a single. He's in a big swoon, dropping him to 239. And, of course, Nick Swisher was signed to a 4-year, $56 million contract brought to Cleveland to make things happen and be a run producer in the middle of that lineup. And he's not been able to fulfill that role to date. Mark Reynolds did for a long time, and certainly during that stretch, he was among the league leaders with 13 home runs. He got to 40 RBI real quick, but Mark Reynolds not hitting right now on a 2 for 22 clip. That includes 6 for 37 in his last 10 games, and we know that this is Mark Reynolds' track record career-wise. Tons of strikeouts, tons of home runs, going to hit for a low average. That average has dropped to about 240 as expected, and he's striking out a ton as he typically does, although Indians fans could be hopeful because Reynolds has cut down on the strikeouts in recent years, especially last year with Baltimore at, this is relatively speaking, 159 strikeouts from Mark Reynolds last season. We know he's going to get hot again, but Indians fans are going to have to put up with these long stretches of drought from Mark Reynolds in the middle of the order. Doesn't help that 3 of the key figures in that 18-4 run are on the disabled list. We're talking Asdrubal Cabrera, one of the best offensive and defensive shortstops in baseball. He's lame with a hamstring running down the first base line against the Yankees a few days ago. He's on the 15-day DL. Of course, Perez as well. That shakes up the bullpen. Perez not off to a great start, but he was generally getting through the 9th inning and saving games. That puts Vinny Pastano in that role, and Pastano has not responded well. A guy with usually a 2.5 ERA is off to a rough start with 8 walks in his first 15 innings pitched. He's got a 4.80 ERA right now. Zack McAllister, not lights out kind of stuff. He makes contact with the bats on the mound, but Zack McAllister's off to a good start for the Indians, and he's a key in that rotation. 11 starts, a 3.43 ERA, the best ERA in the rotation, and Zack McAllister as well on the 15-day DL. Nick Swisher said after Saturday's loss, hey, we take it one game at a time. We just have to win that one game, and then good things are going to happen after that. Well, they need to get a win, and this was forthcoming. You could see it happening. The Indians, again, big swing and miss team, poor rotation. They've got a strong bullpen. They've got a strong defense. They've got power. So this is going to be about a 75-win team. That's at least what we forecasted before the season started. Indians right now at 30-32. And again, we could kind of see this because they were beating up on the bad teams during that 22-game stretch. Then came the Reds and the Red Sox and the Rays and the Yankees, and now the Tigers, a sweep in Detroit, followed up by Texas and Washington. So things may not get easier for the Indians before things maybe smooth out before that next hot stretch when the big bats start to hit for power once again. Our thoughts on the Indians? Would like to hear from you now on Mark Rogers TV.